I know this probably looks like crap. I really hadn't planned on doing this, but I was just sitting here and I was I was joking on. I put something on Facebook and I said, I wish my mother was still alive because I could tell her I have a URL and she wouldn't feel. And I know that she'd say, "Oh my God, well, how'd you get that?" you know, you know, like I'd have to explain to her that a URL doesn't require antibiotics. But but it made me thinking, and it's like, oh my God. I have a TV show. I realize it's YouTube. That's fine. I'm cool with that. I mean, all my life, from the time I was a little kid, I never really wanted. Well, I wanted to be a dancer, and I told my mom about that. Actually, I have a niece that's a few years older than me, and when we used to go and visit my sister and her kids in Mansfield, Ohio, my sister was married before I was even born. So when I say I was raised an only child, that's not what I mean. It's not that I didn't have a sibling, but I was raised an only child. We were 22 years apart. And in fact, my mother and my sister were pregnant at the same time. So besides having an older niece, I have a nephew that's 9 weeks younger than me. And I have a niece that's, I think, like, let me see, she was born in 64, so she's 7 years younger than me. So she must be 54 now. Yeah, she was born in 64. Anyway, but I remember my niece was taking dancing lessons or whatever, and she had this little suitcase, and in it had a pair of like ballet shoes, and there was a pair of tap shoes, and they had been like patent leather Mary Janes or something like it originally. But evidently my sister, who was like the most amazing woman in the world, could do anything. I mean, like, you give her a can of spray paint or something, she could build a house. She was a remarkable woman. But she has passed away, my late sister, Charlene. But she had evidently spray painted these patent leather Mary Jane tap shoes with silver spray paint. I was fascinated. I was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. And and of course, being patent leather, where you could see wherever the shoes cracked, the paint was away, and through the silver paint you could see the black patent leather. I can still remember this, and this is 55, 60 years ago, 58 years ago, or whatever. But I was mesmerized by those tap shoes. It's like I gotta. So I remember, like, not long after that, I couldn't have been but 3 or 4 years old, and we were living in a part of the house where, like, there was a room divided by these really cool curtains, and they were traverse rods or whatnot. So that was my stage, and I would get there and sing songs and stuff like that. And I was very big on taking my hat off. I don't know, I must have seen Sinatra do that or something like that. But one day I told my mom, I couldn't have been but more than 4 years old, and I said, because I was so taken with my niece's dancing shoes, I said, I want to take dancing lessons. And she thought about it for a moment. And, my mother was 45 when she had me. And she thought about it for a moment. And she said, honey, I wish you'd have told me sooner. I wish you'd just mentioned that sooner, because that's something you have to start when you're very young. And I'm afraid that, you've went past that. And I accepted that. I mean, I believed that. And I didn't think about it until I was like 18 years old. I'm thinking, wait, I was fucking 4 years old. And she's saying, and I realized that maybe that's what she thought of, because she probably knew in the neighborhood that I grew up in, taking dancing lessons would just put a goddamn target on your fucking back already, And I think about that, and so meanwhile, they forced me into taking 8 years of not piano, but organ. I was destined to become a lounge act from the very beginning. And 8 years, I hated every minute of it. I had some talent. I could sit down and play, but I didn't want to take lessons or anything. I didn't know, I mean, like, but, and whatever. So it ensued until I was like 14, many years of it was horrible. I mean, it was the destruction of my childhood, just fighting over practice. And I hated it. In fact, I so blocked it out that I almost forget it today. And I long ago lost any ability to read music. So, I mean, that's how much I hated it. And, but I thought about it then. I have my phone ringing. I ain't nobody. And then I thought about it, and I thought, then, like, I was hoodwinked. She realized that for me to take dancing lessons in this, like, very blue collar neighborhood and town that I grew up in would have been like, I mean, I would have been the only boy in the dancing school probably. And and your parents know already when you're young which direction you're, like they always say, your mother's the first to know and the last to find out if you're gay. And I think there's truth in that. And but yeah, but here I am, like all these years later, and people, and actually I would have loved a career in stand up. I really would have. But I admit it, I am not the starving artist type. I need some kind of compensation. I love to eat. So I chose instead to be a bartender so I could get paid every night and just make a fool of myself. And and I'm fine with doing that right here, but it's just so funny because I'm joking about my mom, and people that hear me tell stories about my mother want to hear about it. But I'm like, Mom, I got a TV show. I mean, and the fact that it's on YouTube, that really doesn't matter to me. I'm okay with that. I was happy standing in front of the Starbucks or the Star Bears down there a few years ago and holding court and telling jokes and being inappropriate. I mean, the thing about when you're abrasive and kind of like vulgar and stuff like that, the reality is everywhere you go, there's going to be there's going to be a certain number of people that go, oh, here comes Billy. And then there's going to also be like a certain number of people that think, oh, fuck, here he comes. And they get up and leave. So you always get a seat. And I remember one day I was down there at the Starbucks, and this kind of cute guy came by, and he had his laptop. I had never seen him. He was visiting or whatnot. And he went in, the place was packed, and he came out shortly, and I had spoken to him on his way in. And I said, what's the matter, baby? He said, I can't get a seat. And I said, just let me go in there. I can clear a room faster than anybody you know. I said, all I need to go in there is say a couple politically incorrect things. Somebody will get up and leave. So sure enough, he followed me in, and within 15 seconds, 3 people got up and moved out. So am I proud of this? Not necessarily. I mean, in the sense that, like, oh, I'm abrasive, I'm obnoxious. But at the same time, I'm really, I mean, this sounds ridiculous, but I'm really rather a shy person, one-on-one, or so. I mean, I can hold a conversation, but I'm fine. I'm fine. In fact, I could be in front of 1,000 human people and it really wouldn't bother me. So, yeah, this is okay for me. It's like the one-to-one is like, oh, see me naked in the locker room. That's the kind of crap that scares the fuck out of me. But anyway, so yeah, but now I am a little, I am a little old for dancing lessons, and life has visited me with enough what is the words I want. At this point, I don't want my dignity any further compromised by putting on something stretchy and spandexy and attempting to do Zumba. Like there's enough ugliness in the world sometimes. Oh, I don't like that word ugly. There's enough sadness in the world sometimes. Yeah, ugly's a word I try not to use anymore. That's a word that's not PC. Because, ugly is, I mean, I felt ugly for too many fucking years. And, I would not wish the way I saw me as myself on anybody. I mean, I would never want to feel that way about another person, and I would hate to think that other people were feeling that ugly about themselves. And it took me a lot of years to get beyond that. I mean, it wasn't until I was 47 years old one day, and I remember shaving, and I looked in the mirror, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel betrayed by the face that was looking back at me. I didn't hate me. I didn't think I was horrible. I didn't think I was ugly. So I'm really careful about using that word today. Ugly behavior, yeah. Ugly is used to describe behavior, not physical characteristics. So, where was I? But anyway, yeah, so I hadn't really planned on doing this. I don't know if I'll ever air it or publish it or post it or whatever. But, I mean, I have my own TV show, Ma. Look at this. I don't care if there's only 100 subscribers or whatever, like, I've never done anything in my life from start to finish. I really haven't. The only things that I've done in my life were taking advantage of little opportunities that were offered me. And I admit I was never really ambitious about about pursuing things. I was happy to be a bartender because I could get paid every night, and I kind of always, what do you want to subsidize that with? I mean, I had another part-time job for 17 years. I wasn't like an unemployable person. I was a very dependable person, but I didn't set the bar too high because I lacked ambition, and to think, I mean, and I've done this myself. Like, I even like went on YouTube tutorials. I'm as dumb as a bag of hair. I mean, I can form sentences, and I can write a little bit, but like getting it from me to you, disseminating that information is like, may as well have a telegraph here or something like that. So the fact that I managed to put together this YouTube thing, as crude as it may be, is just like, I've never done anything like this before. I mean, I've cooked for 40 people. I can do stuff like that. I can sling drinks, probably still at this age with my disabilities, with the best of them. But as far as ever, like, I call it not the ABCs, but the CBAs, and it's about conceive, believe, and achieve. And for the last several years, when I'm doing my daily um, observations, I try to tell myself, conceive, believe, achieve. Conceive, believe, achieve. And I conceived this, and I believed it could happen, and I fucking did it. I know that might not seem like a big deal to some people, but it blows me away. So, particularly as I sit in this room where I'm surrounded by, this is our kind of like office, cat's room. It used to be the guinea pig's room. It's our guest room, but we don't have guests. Nobody wants to stay with you if you're going to sexually harass them, unless they're specifically coming to be sexually harassed. But I'm surrounded by my various hobbies that I've taken up over the years, but something told me that if I did this one, once I did this, I could not turn back. I mean, I realized that, like, it's one thing to like put a little thing on a blog, or you close the blog down and it's unavailable. But man, this is like shit. Like, I mean, like, posterity is going to be able to connect the dots with the enlarged pores on my face. So, yeah, this is a big thing for me. It really is. Oh, I got to keep remembering. I'm sorry if I'm looking in the wrong direction, because I'm supposed to be looking at you, not at me. So, I'll learn some of this eventually. Anyway, but I just wanted to really share that with you. I really want to thank all of you who have subscribed so that I could qualify for a URL, and all my Facebook friends. And I promise I'm going to learn how to use the Instagram and the Twitter. And I mean, I'm that damn Billy across the board. That's it. Before I even did this, I even did what they said, and I established my presence on all these platforms. I don't even know what these platforms are or how they work, but I got them, damn it. So keep your eye out, because like I am like herpes. I will keep coming back. That damn Billy is that damn, and you can even get me at that Billy at thatdamnbilly.com. I bought the domain. I'm a domain hoarder. So if you're looking for something, although somebody got talking shit before I did, now, they were selling it for $2,500, but this is a budget act. So I'm just yeah. I'm that damn Billy, and I happen to be talking shit. All right, I can't. We'll get together. Tell me what you want to talk about. What do you want me to extrapolate about? Later.